Welcome to the Prosperity Podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to drop the hustle and earn more. I'm your host, Danielle Amos, business and success coach, certified Proctor Institute consultant, and lifestyle entrepreneur. Each week, I'll bring you amazing entrepreneurs who have built wealth, harnessing the power of their mind. Prosperity and money are truly about energy, and I'm on a mission to help you create financial abundance through the power of thought. It's time we started normalizing conversations about money and create the wealth that is yours. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Welcome to episode 155 of the Prosperity Practice, the podcast that has you living your most abundant life. My name is Danielle Amos, and I am your host. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Today, I want to talk to you about faith. Faith, a very powerful word and concept. And I want to actually share a story with you. But first, I want to give you a definition that my mentor, Bob Proctor, gave me. And he was given it by a friend of his that he met. And it is this. We'll actually put it in the show notes for you. Faith is the ability to see the invisible and believe in the incredible. And that is what enables believers to receive what the masses think is impossible. I want to say that again. Faith is the ability to see the invisible and believe in the incredible. And that is what enables believers to receive what the masses think is impossible. So this is Clarence Smithison gave Mr. Bob Proctor that quote many, many years ago. And Bob loved to give us that as the definition of faith. Could you imagine if you lived by these words? If you were able to see the invisible and believe in the incredible, and therefore achieve what everyone else thinks would be impossible? I want to share a story with you today that is why this podcast is on faith. So just moments ago, and you could probably hear the birds tweeting in the background, probably hear now moments ago, I was just walking and I was reflecting on what happened to myself and my husband this morning and last night. So recently, a couple days ago, my husband bought himself a watch. He invested in a beautiful watch for himself. And the investment was a stretch. And I knew that, and I could tell that his self-image was growing into owning this watch. And you know, when you buy something and you invest and you splurge, and then you could, like some of us, question whether or not we need that, or was it too much money, or maybe that was irresponsible, or I don't deserve something like that. I don't know, like our minds fill up with all of this junk, don't they? And I could tell that Paul was like second guessing whether or not that was a quote unquote smart decision to buy himself the watch. But it was just something I noticed. And I was like, instead praising, like, the watch looks good on you. Amazing. Good for you. And it's really up to the person. Like, I can't do Paul's thinking for him. He's got to do his own thinking and learn and grow. And anyway, so the watch was pretty brand new, like a couple days old. And last night before bed, we take off our jewelry and put it beside the nightstand, and he noticed his watch wasn't there. And we stayed up later than usual talking, and he had been working on an audition. So this is like 11 o'clock now, and he notices his watch is not on his wrist. And the look on his face was like, and so he started replaying his day. And I remember earlier that day seeing his watch on his book by the nightstand and thinking, there's people in our house today. Like, we had cleaners, we had someone like helping us with carpenter bees. And I thought to myself, that's probably not the best place for that watch right now with all these people in the home. Now, of course, that's me judging others, and I'm aware. So I'm conscious of those thoughts. So that's a little separate. And I just find it interesting because my mind was like, perhaps the watch isn't safe. And so, but I let it go. And then I went back and noticed it wasn't there. And I just assumed Paul had picked it up. Well, anyway, in the afternoon, he had been working on his audition. He decided that he was going to go down to the lake, which is literally like across the street from us, and jump in the lake. And so he did that, and we were going through his day yesterday, and he couldn't remember if he took off his watch, or if he even had it on. And then he just assumed, yeah, I definitely did. And I said, okay, well, what were you wearing? And he had his swim shorts on and a t-shirt and a hat. And he said, well, I would have put the watch in the hat, and then went in the lake, and there were other people at the lake. And so we're going through this in his mind. Now it's like 11:30 at night. And he's like, I've got to go down to the water and look for it. So he goes down to the water with his light of his iPhone, and he's searching around in the rocks and the sand. And he's gone for a good 20 minutes, and he comes back and there's nothing. And I could tell he's really disappointed. And throughout the night, he couldn't really sleep, and he decided to get up, and he's like, oh man, I'm just like thinking about this. And of course, like shaming himself, like he lost the watch and he had just got it a few days ago. So we go to sleep, and this morning he wakes up bright and early and is like, I'm going, as soon as the sun, it was just rising, and he went to the lake. He's like, I'm going to go find it and look again. And so he this time goes down, and he's gone for a little longer, and he comes back and nothing. And so we're now outside by our garage, and I'm having a conversation with him. And I said, Paul, like, you've done your best, you've looked for it. Now you've got to have faith and trust that, like, right now you're perceiving the watch as lost. And he said, well, it is. And I said, I know, but if you see it as lost, then, I mean, what you lose comes back. So that's good, but just be in harmony with the watch. And he's like, what does that mean? I said, well, be grateful for the watch. Like, see the watch on your wrist, know that it's yours, know that you deserve it. Just like in your heart, clean up any energy that maybe you were questioning if you were worthy of it. And it's really in your heart, be grateful for it. And then, like, let's let it go. Let's have faith and trust that it comes back to you because you're grateful for the watch and you're a vibrational match for the watch. And so I could see, like, he kind of like resigned himself, like, oh, okay, well, that's it then. And he's like, I'm going to walk now along the road to see if it dropped on my way back. So he did that, and he went back to the lake, to the spot. And he's told me that he was searching all around for it. And while he was doing that, I decided that I was going to look in the house for it. And all of a sudden, a thought came to me. And because I had told him to have faith, I said, what does that actually mean? And I thought that I've got to be able to see the invisible and believe in the incredible. And I, in the moment, was having like doubts that he was going to find it. And so I decided to ask for help. And I asked my niece, Lily, who has recently passed, to help Paul find it, to help us find it. And I'd be so grateful. Now, in the past, I've asked spirit helpers, I've asked my guides, I've asked the universe, I've asked God in a spirit of gratitude to help me I'm open to ideas. So this is where this podcast can become extremely valuable to you. what is it that you want that you don't yet have? And you're not sure if you're worthy of that. That could be like money or a goal or clients. What would it look to lean into faith and to ask for guidance and support? To be open to receiving ideas, to be shown the way. So I felt my request with gratitude in my heart, and I stood there and just like felt into it. And it was a very conscious ask and thanking. Now, at the same time, Paul's by the water, and he told me when he came back that it was like no use. He was like digging up the sand and nothing was there. And so all of a sudden he got the impulse or the idea to at least sit and watch the sunrise, because that was really beautiful. And so he did. He got up on a rock and he sat and he felt gratitude for the sun on his face and acknowledged how beautiful it was. And he said, in that moment, out of the corner of his eye, he saw something on another rock, and it was like reflecting the light, like twinkling. And he was like, what's that? And he said it was really obvious, like reflecting the light, shining it back. And he went over, and it was his watch. Not where he would have put down his t-shirt. It was like perhaps someone found it and got it out so it wouldn't like fall in the water, and put it on this rock. And he had been down there now last night, several times this morning, and didn't see this. Now, is this a coincidence that at the same time or moments before, I asked for support and for guidance and to please help and show us, guide us, show us the way to having the watch come back? Is it a coincidence that it was after he felt gratitude and love in his own heart for something as simple as a sunrise and saw the beauty, that his perception opened up for him to see the watch? None of these things are coincidences. And I share this with you because you are always fully supported. When there is a will, there is a way. Paul had incredible persistence. And as well, before he left, I asked him to have faith and to let it go and to trust. And I told him that force negates. So if he's going to force the situation and keep trying to force it, it's going to keep the watch away. So we've got to let go now. Imagine what your life would look like if you lived by the words, faith is the ability to see the invisible and believe in the incredible. And that is what enables believers to receive what the masses think is impossible. None of the sequence of events that led to Paul finding the watch is a coincidence. Me asking for guidance, Paul taking a moment to appreciate and have gratitude for the sunrise and to find joy in it in the midst of sadness of losing the watch, for following that impulse when it didn't make much sense. Like, don't stop and watch the sunrise, like keep looking. Think of how many times our intuition tells us to do one thing, but our logical mind wants us to keep hustling and working. But what if slowing down is a big part of how we speed up and win? Slowing down allows us to notice what's around us, allows us to hear the clues, see the clues. It took Paul slowing down to notice the sunrise in a feeling of gratitude, to then notice the sparkle of the watch on a completely different rock. And he came back wearing the watch, walking into the driveway with his hands in the air, showing it off. And I said, wow, I'm not surprised. I had just asked for guidance, for support from Lily and God, the universe. to show us the way. So I share this with the intention that this is a reminder for you to slow down today, to follow your impulses, to ask for guidance, knowing that you're fully supported. I want to read you a little quote from God Works Through Faith by Dr. Robert Russell. I know that Paul was persistent, and he had to be persistent. He had to be willing to continue to look. This is part of what's necessary is persistence, and persistence backed by faith is really powerful. So this comes from Robert Russell's book. He said, we say, I would do anything to get more faith. I'd give my right arm to learn how to pray. But there is always the postscript. I'll take up the study in earnest if I can find thy time. I'll take the course if it doesn't cost too much, if it doesn't rain, if it doesn't inconvenience me, if I can spare the money. The if betrays the divided mind, St. James said. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Dean Inga once said, we are losing our Christianity not by anyone because anyone is taking it from us, but because it is a religion for heroes, and we are merely harmless, good-natured little people who want to have a good time. What does the law say? He that loses his life shall find it, and ye shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall bless thy bread and water. And I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. Trust in the Lord and do good, and verily thou shalt be fit. Only by continual discipline and practice can we become single-minded, one-pointed. Our watchword must be Emmanuel, God with us. Think of self, trouble grows. Think of God, trouble goes. Your Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. Outlining the process by which the aid we seek will come is another factor in delay. We say, in thee is my trust, and then we tell him how to do his work. Are you still outlining when you pray? Are you still trying to figure out when and how the prayer will be answered? Turn on your trust. Let go some more and keep letting go until the problem is completely out of your hands. And the when is not important. There is no time in heaven but now. All you need to do is to follow the rules. Number 1, ask. Number 2, if there is no answer, seek. Number 3, if you still get no answer, knock. Put all the possibilities, probabilities, chances, and likelihoods out of your mind and give God a free hand to help you in his way. Outlining is trying to get God to go your way. My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways. I love this. So I'm going to just skip a couple paragraphs here and say, let us assume that you are in need of financial help and that you are starting out to demonstrate supply metaphysically. How do you go about it? The first thing you do is to make your claim by impressing it with deep feeling upon the subconscious mind. You assume the attitude that would be yours if the desire had already materialized. You declare your oneness with God's allness, and you take the words of Jesus personally. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. You believe this promise and you accept it for yourself. Your mind is now open to the things of God, and you are ready to take the final steps. There are 3 of them. 1, you call upon your creative imagination, which is your intuition, to help you see in your mind the thing you want. 2, you feel God's power entering your treatment and accomplishing what you have asked for. 3, you claim fulfillment of your desire by saying, in the name of the Father and the Son and of the Holy Ghost, amen. Finally, you rest the case with him in perfect trust. You know that if God cannot do it, it cannot be done. The word amen, which means so it is and so he it, is your recognition of the fact that God has already done everything that needs to be done, that you are already that which you want to be, that you already have that what you seek. Are you ready to take the final step? Are you still wondering how your need for more money will be met? Perhaps several possibilities run through your mind. Frank owes me money. Maybe he will pay me. It's a long time since I had a raise. I could ask for one tomorrow. Possibly someone will buy those lots. Perhaps someone will leave me some money. Maybe it isn't God's will that I should have this demonstration. The law says that God can't take hold until you let go. Put all these possibilities out of your mind and think only of God's power and his willingness to use it in your behalf. Cling to that trust. This is faith. It was the letting go. It was asking those steps. When I came up to record this podcast, that book was staring at me, and I opened to that page and felt called to read it to you as part of this podcast today. It's my desire that this podcast inspired you, gave you more reason to lean into faith, trust, and ask and receive guidance. You are fully supported in all that you do, all that you desire. It is for you because you desire it. I believe in you. Now, let's all expect abundance. Thank you for being here. And if this podcast resonated, please share it and give us a 5-star review. I would be so grateful. See you next time. Thank you.